So, I mean, recently I was made aware of something that I never really thought about. I mean, like when I was around 14, 15 years old, it was established. I was diagnosed as having this kind of, you know, gland disorder. Yeah, a hormonal gland disorder, of course. And of course, I was medicated and still am, even though some medications have since changed. I will be for the rest of my life. And yeah, and I always assumed that all my problems that I had with because always was an issue. I was always considered shy. I was shy, yes, for sure. But and always I had this social kind of ineptitude. I didn't make friends easily. I didn't, I friends I had like when I was a child were actually my older brother or big brother's friends. Really, I didn't have any like close friends anyway that were just mine. You know, I didn't only had classmates, and I sometimes hung around with some kids of my age, but we were never really so tight. It was like we all lived in the same neighborhood, so sometimes we would go and do things together. Like play together and put on some kind of mischief. Let's put it away together. But yeah, that was I never really had never really hung out with anybody from my class or anything, and I wonder why, and I was also, I feel, kind of intellectually very advanced for my age, and that's why I could really easily function with friends of my older brother who were like a couple of years older than me. Then my That's not a big number when you are an adult, but when you are a kid and they are like when you are 11, they are 13. It can be, or when you are 12 and they are in their teens already, it can be, So I was able to have good, really, let's say, rewarding exchanges with them. We would discuss things and yeah. So I guess I felt that people of the same age as I also were a little childish, actually. Even though I was a child myself, I just didn't feel they were on the same level, really. And this has nothing to do with how good they were at school. I wasn't good in every subject. For instance, I was terrible at maths. And there's another thing. I probably had attention deficit, yeah, because I could never concentrate when I wasn't really interested in a subject, like mathematics or physics or. What I would do was that one of my parents would sit, usually when it came to mathematics, and it was usually my mother, she was better at this than my father. And yeah, we would get through it, when the tests were gonna come, because I couldn't focus in the classes, that's for sure. So yeah, we would kind of get through it. She would tutor me, and I could get enough here to pass the tests at least. I didn't always pass, but anyway, mostly in the end of the school year anyway. And yeah, it became a problem in the end. I just barely. I think had not the war actually interrupted my last school year, I don't know if I would have, graduated. That's how bad it got in the end with these subjects. But anyway, I'm digressing. um, yeah, so I just couldn't. It wasn't about being lazy. That's what my parents thought it was. But no, I just could not focus, And so, yeah, it was all blamed on this gland thing I had, gland disorder. However, now that I think about it, I think I probably am and have always been an autist, and that's why I had such a hard, I had such trouble finding friends, getting friends, and when I got older, bigger, I also had problems because of I had this extreme shyness. I couldn't talk to girls either, so that was also a major problem. And it wasn't until later it got better. Yeah, it got better eventually, but you know, I just that part about taking the first step and saying hello, I am, you know, would you like to be friends, or would you like to go out with me? That was the big problem, of course, always. And yeah, so in the end that didn't go well at all. I had to wait many years for my first date, let's call it that way. Yeah, so yeah, that was very. So I just didn't understand why, like because when if I already, if somebody else took the first step and started talking to me, everything went fine. I was really start talking like like nothing. I was. So it wasn't the fact that I wasn't social that I because some people just aren't very social. They have some sort of disorder there, and or maybe they have been through some trauma or early in life, so they don't like talking very much to people, and especially people that are not family or old childhood friends. Maybe I don't know, but I was never like that. I had no problem talking to others that I didn't know before. But the problem was just I struggled struggled whenever I had to take the first step and introduce myself to somebody. I was struggle. So that didn't change until I was like, oh well, in my late 30s. I felt it got a little better, it got a little easier. Yeah, it did, but it's never really, it will never really become easy for me. That's just how it is. And yeah, and it wasn't until this year that a friend of mine from Fracom, uh, well, I can mention her, I guess. It's alright, I don't have to. Anyway, she knows who she's. That she kind of pointed out to me that I am, an autist. I have what it's called autism, and I had heard of it before, but I had no idea that I would never thought like that I may have that. So if you Google autism, what you get is like, yeah, is a it is a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by symptoms of deficient reciprocal social communication, and the presence of restricted, repetitive, and inflexible patterns of behavior that are impairing, well, anyway, what actually, yeah, other common signs include difficulty with social interaction, verbal and non-verbal communication, along with perseverative interests, stereotypic body movements, rigid routines, and hyper or hyporeactivity to sensory input. Yeah. So yeah, perseverative interest means like special interest, and there are hobbies that may take up much of a person's free times, like yeah. For instance, yeah, I mean, when I get into something, I really am, I really do get into it, and uh, however, I have no weird, let's call it weird interests, such as collecting bugs, for instance, insects, or I never did. So in that respect, I always felt I had rather normal interests. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I was always actually into sports. However, I was never really never played any outside of school program. So because of course once again I was almost afraid. How am I going to go there and play football? Let's say with others. And I always worry about the way I feel. I've always been scared because of doing certain physical things because I was worried about being injured and stuff like that, or worried about looking about embarrassing myself also. So yeah, it was very hard for me to do certain things that required being like kind of taking chances, like jumping, I don't know, from somewhere and being a little bold and yeah, that was always hard because I would think too much about what if these scenarios, what if it went wrong, and that's what most people don't do. And on one side, it can be good because your brain works better in a way than with the average person. You are more aware of these consequences or stuff. Like that. What can happen? You are very like thoughtful and wary. Sorry, and yeah. But on the other hand, that makes you really afraid to take control and take chances and yeah, definitely. And that's why it can be hard to get, for instance, to get a girl because girls usually don't like boys who are kind of look afraid and very like timid and yeah, shy, and that's not what they really go for mostly. And yeah, only girls that are themselves like that, maybe they can gravitate to a guy or boy like that. So anyway, but what I don't like, I mean, this is interesting. Like, isn't it? It's almost like I don't know. For instance, let's give you an example. Like for 12 years ago, I started to kind of go out, but not really in that sense of like romantic sense. But I started to kind of spend some time with this girl that didn't was single. Also, she's a few years younger than me. We had some common, like let's say acquaintances. You know, like my mother knew her mother a little bit and stuff like that, and we are from the same country, live in the same city and same country now. but originally, yeah, we are both from Boston. And so anyway, long story short, I discovered actually that she also may have something aching to this in the end, and that is why she wasn't able to find a boyfriend. And I was surprised, when I saw her. She looked good. I mean, she was pretty and smart and well educated and nice and everything. She wasn't. What really struck me about her was how open she was. I mean, yeah, but also how generous she was. I mean, wouldn't everybody love to have even a wife like that? I'm sure. However, on the downside, she was too serious. She couldn't recognize the jokes sometimes, and yeah, she just took things too literally, too seriously, and loved to argue. When she didn't agree about just anything, just the smallest things. And then I realized, yeah, I know now why she's single. I mean, nobody likes people who split hairs and correct you on the slightest detail, and because that's not, she doesn't understand how it works in social life, and especially in dating life. I mean, even if men are supposed to be the ones who flatter the women more, but they don't like it if a woman, like, let's put it this way, if you are a little overweight, she will tell you that, a girl like that, and nobody wants to hear that on a date, right? Or if she doesn't like your, I don't know, your hair or your shirt or something, she will most likely tell you that. I mean, for instance, when I wasn't working out for, there was a time, it lasted over a year, and I had gained some weight. She actually once told me right out that I was fat, that I had a big belly. So, yeah, of course, I was angry. I was very angry, but yeah, I didn't really react openly. So, yeah, in the end, I realized that why I was kind of stuck with her is that we are both socially inept people. That also had a positive effect. That told me that actually I know I can do better. To be brutally honest, that I can. That I am not as inept as she is, because I know how to behave on a date. I know what to say, what not to say. Sometimes, yeah, I can be a little too, honest, but about myself, I will never be too honest about the other person and say, hey, that vest doesn't look very good, or you should have put more makeup or stuff like that. And so, yeah, in the end, I know my only problem why I am single still after many years is that first of all, I am a little bit too idealistic, and you cannot be that in the dating world. And that's the first part. Second part is that I just hate the whole process, the flirting and all that. I mean, I don't hate flirting, but I like when it's spontaneous. I don't like when I go out on a Saturday night, let's say in the city, and I, with the purpose of flirting and let's say finding a girl or a girlfriend. That's I don't like. That's too much pressure for me. And so yeah, I like for instance last Saturday I actually well, this girl in the coffee shop kind of slightly flirted with me, and that felt good, of course. She laughed, really in a beautiful kind of flirty way, and stuff like that is always nice. Unfortunately, it is in those situations it is hard to ask a woman out because she's working and there are many people around. You gotta be very confident and all that. But yeah, this why I am single is because I am shy and have this kind of blockade, I would like to call it, in here. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I am not an incel because what is an incel? An incel is somebody who has problems getting laid, getting a girl because they are either, you know, not very attractive or, don't know how to behave with women, or maybe they get too, I don't know, intense too soon and stuff like that. They get rejected and then they are very angry and bitter and yeah, I cannot say I never had an experience like that, but I definitely don't feel like that now anyway. So yeah, in the end, to sum up, yeah, I always said kind of I felt that I was a little special, and I believe many autists are pretty early aware that they are not quite like everybody around them, and while back then it was a good feeling, it is a good feeling in one way because you feel kind of you are like you're smarter, like most people or something like that, or well, not maybe not smarter, but definitely have a higher sensory, sensory reception or however you call it. High, yeah. I mean, we just perceive things. We are much better at picking up signals out there and perceiving things than regular people. And yeah, for instance, I can tell when somebody is angry either with me or somebody else, but trying to hide it, or if they are not you uh, in there, if something is not as it should be, because I can tell when somebody is not acting, and I was surprised to see that those people I know don't. They can't tell when something is not right with somebody, but I can. So there are the downsides, of course, is that it kind of makes you a little stand out and look weird in a way, and makes you feel like you are one in a million. And it's not always a great feeling, but yes, what can you do? You gotta live with it, and yeah, I mean, what is important is, yeah, the thing with the routines in the end, I just want to add, yeah, I have my routines. I live by my routines, really. And whenever get disturbed, I really feel bad, I feel, you know, messed up. So, yeah, most likely I am an autist, and it's taking me too long to really realize that. I mean, even though I knew there I was kind of special in a way, but I didn't know how. And now, I know. Well, I know, and I guess it is good to know, even though that is not something you can cure or anything. But it is good to be aware and know how you can what you can do to live with it better, to put it that way. Yeah, all right. Take care.